Do you like wrestling trivia? Then check out the 5-Star Match Game, the Pro Wrestling Quiz Show. I'm Joe Gagney, and every episode, I grill 3 contestants with 5 rounds of power-packed wrestling trivia. We have over 30 evergreen episodes in the archives covering WWE, AEW, Japan, Mexico, and much, 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 much more. Play along at home and check it out today.
This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
Welcome back to another episode of The Good, the Bad, and the Hungee here on the Voice of Wrestling Podcasting Network. I'm your host, Tyler Fornes, and with me as always is Fred, whose house I'm about to burn down. How are you,
Hey,
sir?
wait a second. I live in that house. I need that house. Don't do that. Swerve Strickland, if you want to buy me a house, let me know. I'm doing all right. How are you, buddy?
You know what? I'm good. It is the first day of football season. God bless America. And I am hyped, and I am writing a bunch of betting articles today. And in the process, I was writing bold predictions for the season. Would you like to hear my couple Vikings bold predictions before we get started, Fred?
Yeah, sure.
All
boldly predict 4-13.
This team is too talented to only win 4 football games.
Just vibes.
You're already wrong. Sam Darnold will throw for 4,000 yards. My reason being is you haven't heard the reasoning yet. This offense is relatively QB proof. Last year, the Vikings threw for over 4,300 yards with half the season being backups, and the splits were relatively similar between Cousins and then the other 3 quarterbacks. So having consistency with Darnold, who has arm talent, has never been able to put it together. I don't think 4,000 yards is crazy, especially now that we have 17 games.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
Justin Jefferson will set a career high in yards, but he will fall just short of 2,000.
Okay.
And Ty Chandler, who's the running back 2 in this offense, will lead the team in rushing. Those are my offensive ones so far. And if you want more, NFL Intelligentsia, flagship Patreon, voiceofwrestling.com/Patreon, patreon.com/voiceofwrestling. That show will be coming out sometime this week. I believe later on Thursday, maybe Friday morning. But I did an hour. Oh, you'll love this, Fred. On the flagship, Rich was kind of making fun of Joe for saying, hey, we want to keep it to this point. And Rich like, you never do that. Yeah. Guess what? Joe's like, we got to keep this to an hour. 1 hour and 6 seconds.
Hey, nailed it.
Yeah,
what a pro.
We absolutely nailed it. And when I told Joe that we did exactly an hour, he's like, damn right, my perfectly honed instincts are back. And it was peak radio that nobody will ever hear but me, but I loved it. Nice. We had a lot of fun. Talked a lot about the Minnesota Vikings in the NFC North. He's got Dan Greenspan, who works for the Associated Press, talking about Cowboys, Rams, and a bunch of other stuff. And then Jesse Cowlings doing a deep dive on a really weird Patriots team and other topics. Look, it's going to be 4.5 hours of awesome football content. Get into it. And the college football intelligentsia just dropped last night. So there's a lot of good stuff for me out there in the football sphere.
I actually listened to that, or at least most of it this morning while doing stuff. So it was a good episode. Everyone that subscribes should check it out. And everyone that doesn't, God, I can't talk today, should consider subscribing to check it out. I'm just going to die now. Bye.
All right. Well, Fred's going to die because I just burned his house down. And speaking of burning houses down, I think that's where we have to start this show, Fred, because Hangman Adam Page burned down the childhood home of Swerve Strickland. And I have many questions. One, if they actually burned a house down, They did?
Yeah, some guy, a firefighter, posted on Squared Circle, if I'm not mistaken, that he was there as you know, to take care of it or something along those lines.
I want to know how they got permits for it and Tony Khan the average house price in America is around $300,000-$400,000. Spending that much, To literally burn it down is tremendous. That is dedication to this build, which has been fantastic. And I was not necessarily, when I read that bit, because I read it before Dynamite happened, I'm like, man, I don't know. I was at the SmackDown in 2017 in St. Paul, Minnesota at XL Energy Center when Randy Orton burned down Sister Abigail's house. And I remember watching Bray Wyatt in the ring, and he was just acting like a 4-year-old. It was kind of bad.
Yeah.
It kind of sucked. But seeing that and then kind of seeing what happened here, I thought this was way better. I thought Swerve was a little bit more like, it was still kind of WWE-ish in how animated he was, but
it was.
Look,
I thought, but
I mean, he's watching on a Videotron. He realizes he can't do anything. If he calls 911, that's not going to stop Hangman from burning the house down. So essentially what I needed was for Hangman to absolutely just kill it. And he was incredible. Him walking through the house, talking about how Swerve's dad was yelling at him to shut up because he couldn't hear the television. And then bringing out the rocking chair, the lazy boy recliner, and a table with a glass of bourbon. Oh my God. And he lights the thing on fire, just grabs it and just chills, sipping the bourbon with the whole thing burning behind him.
Doesn't even look.
Image, an incredible image. Hangman Page is the most important wrestler in this company.
Yes.
The company is centered around Hangman Page, whether he's there or not. When he's there, the company is better. When he's not, the company isn't. I don't know how they're going to go about this match, and I think we should just bleed right into that, Fred. I'm talking about All Out with the heat check, but
the house fire is a 10.
The house
because of physics, but
the house fire is more like a 451.
That's supposed to be the temperature of paper, you fool. It's not a house made of paper. How dare you?
I was a Fahrenheit 451 joke.
Yeah, they burned paper. They weren't burning houses made of books.
Well,
how dare you?
Where does paper come from, Fred?
Sir?
Where does paper come from?
How dare
wood.
You?
It comes from wood, Fred. I am right. I am vindicated here. Anyways.
You're not.
This is
the dumbest
Hangman
argument ever
Page
on a wrestling podcast, but just saying something.
Hangman Page is the reason why this was great. I don't think Swerve was bad. I don't think Swerve could have really done anything other than have a remote device that blew up Hangman Page's house on his person. I don't think there was anything he could have done to make his portion better, or like it could have been way worse. But I don't think outside of that, there was really anything he could do that where I would have been like, man, Swerve was great here, because I think he was just in a lose-lose situation where it's so hard for his side to be able to do anything really impactful here because you don't have Hangman in the building. You're like, he's not going to talk about or think that, hey, Hangman Page is going to burn down my childhood home, which I just bought, which was canon. And I don't know. Hangman's the reason this was great. And Swerve now has a reason to absolutely murder him. This is now a lights out match, which I think is cool. And I think it's really cool as a storyline device because, okay, we have to talk about this part because they talked about the fact that it doesn't count in the rankings or the an official AEW wins and losses. Fred, they took down the wins and losses. On the
I was gonna bring that up, but yeah, they're dead. The rankings are dead. They put the rankings inside this house before they set it on fire. And the records too, I should say. I'm saying rankings instead of records because I'm very smart. This company's WWEification continues. it's unfortunate, you know, even if they didn't do anything with it, you could just have it on the damn website and cite it every once in a while. But
Yeah. How excited are you for this match?
I am, according to Google. Now, granted, Google will also tell you that you should eat a couple rocks a day. But according to Google, which is, boy, that statement's become a lot less authoritative than it was just a year or two ago, Tyler. What a time to be alive. But I digress. According to Google, the temperature at which a house burns is 1,000 to 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit. So I'm going to split the difference, and I'll put myself at 1,500 out of 10.
But will it melt steel beams? Will a burning house melt steel beams?
Oh boy. I don't even know how to respond to that.
This is already a disaster of a show.
It's a bad episode. I thought we were good last week. This week is not the case. We're going to get fired from our illustrious podcasting jobs for Voices of Wrestling. It's bad times. Yeah, I am very excited for this match because their previous matches have all been just outright wars. It is going to be just brutal. And I don't know, man. I it's obviously going to be the real main event of the show. I think it's the selling point for the show.
It's also going on last, apparently.
Well, good. I mean, well, it's a lights out match, so it has to, because they don't do.
I think it got reported
matches.
It was going on last before the lights out game was attached to it.
Yeah. I mean, you can't follow that with Danielson and Perry. As good as that's going to be, like it'll be like, all right, well, you just witnessed a murder, so here's Jack Perry. That just ain't gonna work, sadly. But yeah, it's going to be awesome. Potential match of the year candidate if they get real sicko.
They will.
Yeah, I would hope. I can only hope. Match. It was my match of the year last year from the Full Gear match. Nudging, God, or edging, not nedging. With the Wrestle Kingdom Omega Ospreay match that was excellent.
That wasn't even the best Omega Ospreay match of the year, but continue.
Yeah, I am very excited for this. Will it beat out Danielson Ospreay? That's a tough order, but yeah, maybe. Who knows? We'll see how good it gets. Swerve has really established himself as an elite worker this past year. I don't know that he's really like a carry a guy to a good match guy. Like that is probably the one thing that I can't see in him right now.
In fairness, when was the last time he's had a chance to do that?
Exactly. That's very true. It's kind of we'll see it when it happens.
It is a real question, though. You're right.
It is. Yeah. That's the only thing I can say for sure, that I can't say for sure is something he can do. But everything else, he checks everything. You can nitpick his promo style a little bit. Maybe like 50% less cackling would be good. But he's awesome. He's like in my top 5 guys in the year right now. Granted, I'm still working through the G1, so he might get bumped by like Yota Tsuji if I'm really impressed by him.
No,
he won't.
No,
not a good G1
maybe
for
by
Tsuji.
Gabe Kidd. That's probably the only guy.
Kidd's climbing my thing. I already got Shingo above him. Shingo's been number 3 because we're still in like the Danielson Ospreay era. But anyways, digression Jones over here. Yeah, I can't wait for this match. It's going to be awesome. You got to give it a score. Come on, do the gimmick.
451 Fahrenheit. 451. Baby.
Okay.
Well, I didn't want to look up other temperatures, so we're going with 451. I'm incredibly excited for this. They're going to kill each other. I want to know how they're going to be violent in a different way than they've been violent in the past. I think that's the intrigue here because of how great that Texas death match was last year at Full Gear. That was Full Gear, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
God, it was so good. But
So violent.
it's going to be really fascinating here because they're not going to have devices like they had before. They're not going to be able to go get weapons unless they bring them in. They're
They'll
in a
probably
cage.
bring them in. I imagine they'll bring them in.
I imagine they'll each come with something, but it's going to be a more minimalistic violence versus what it was last time. No, minimalistic as far as the devices they use, not minimalistic in the violence itself.
I'm saying maybe because with the more WWE sports entertainment aspects of this company, would you really, being completely honest, would you be shocked? Like, it is not a 0% chance that they're going to just kick the cage door open and go brawling.
It depends how they structure the cage. Are they gonna? I hope it's not an escape the cage. I hope they don't leave the cage.
God,
I
hope they don't either. But I could see them doing it just because of how AEW's changed over the past couple of years. 2019, they would not leave that cage. Nothing in, nothing out, other than like maybe Nana or someone sliding a weapon in. But 2024, I don't know. Got to consider it. But I also believe these two guys could actually make that good. So I'm not panicking about it, but I'm just noting. Just pointing it out.
I think the one really interesting thing here is the finish. What do they do for a finish here? I think really you could argue so many different ways. You could argue that Swerve loses, and then can argue that Hangman Page has never actually beat him because it didn't count towards the wins loss because it was a lights out gimmick. Mm-hmm. You could have Swerve win and continue the painful Hangman Page story where Hangman technically cost Swerve the title. Like, that's kind of how he's going about it. He's like, if I couldn't get it from you, at least somebody else took it. And maybe you save that win for next year when Swerve gets the title back and you have Page win the title at like Double or Nothing or the Texas show. Maybe you could do something like that. I don't know how they're going to do it, but the way this story has gone, I'm going to sit back here and trust that they do the right thing. Whatever that is, I'm going to trust that it ends up working out well. Because they've shown, like, AEW as a whole has shown me that you can't always trust the booking, you can't always trust the path and direction. This story has shown me that I can trust it within this story. And there have been other stories, like the first Hangman Page story where he was trying to win the title and they pushed it off an extra 2.5 months. That ended up being the right call. It worked. I'm going to believe that whatever they have here is going to work out. I just know this isn't the end for these two. They're going to have some way to murder each other again. And that's going to be incredible.
Yeah. I'm really excited for it. It should be awesome.
Yeah. What do you think's going to happen, though?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what they'll do. I'll tell you what I think would be better, which is I think Page losing again and, making it kind of a morality story where he loses because he's doing this the wrong way. And I think you could do that as a kind of to set up in the near future, a few months, like a turning point for the Hangman character. But I think at the core of Hangman is he's kind of a tortured person, even when, yes, he won the world championship, finally overcame that. But, since then it's been very up and down in terms of kayfabe for him. And I think if you keep it like that, if you keep him, unhappy, I think you could set up something really good and transition him to another feud, and possibly go back later to yet another Swerve match. Because, this is Is Swerve Page the best feud in AEW's history, excluding anything that's happened outside the company?
MJF CM Punk.
Maybe.
Man, Eddie Kingston Claudio, that kind of bleeds out of the company, but it also doesn't.
I'll count ROH in this.
Moxley Omega was good. I think people have a sour taste in their mouth because of the end of that exploding barbed wire death match being a dud. But I think that was tremendous.
The match was still excellent. The match was still excellent. If you haven't gone back to watch, I haven't watched it recently, but I'm just saying, like, if you watched it and it was ruined for you because of how that explosion went and how much it sucked, don't let that ruin what was honestly a fantastic, brutal match. Because the match itself was great. It was amazing. It was a high level match.
Yeah, I still think Page and Swerve is probably the best thing they've ever done. And it was kind of by accident.
Yeah, I don't think it was like Tony Khan on a whiteboard, in 2021, drawing it up.
Yeah. I think there are other really good feuds. Britt Baker Thunder Rosa was excellent.
Yeah. I think I still like Swerve Page better, but and I love that cage match the Rosa and Page or Baker had.
The cage was great. The death match was great.
Yeah. Or no, it was the death match that was excellent. The cage was a little bit of a letdown, if I recall correctly.
The cage was a little bit of a letdown, but you had the right result.
Yeah.
I think Page and Swerve is probably the best we've ever seen.
I'll make one more suggestion to you.
Okay.
Adam Cole and MJF.
Fuck you. How dare you even make that joke on this podcast? We are the podcast that got Swerve Strickland right. We've been begging for Swerve to get this push for 18 months.
You know what was actually a pretty decent feud in AEW? Since we're just about halfway into remembering guys, and they'll steer us back into to heat checking. Brandon Cutler and Peter Avalon on Dark. That was actually like a fantastic low card feud.
That was awesome.
Like I do think that is something AEW's lost, is the ability to do like low card stuff like that. That's really, at least creatively interesting and makes people that aren't really big in future plans feel meaningful. But anyway,
that's what they should do with Rampage. Have it be a WCW Saturday night show and just let people, like, Top Flight should be in a feud. Like big time.
Lee Moriarty, who I think can be a future star. He's kind of felt like he's stuck in neutral for a couple years now, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. But like, I think he's a dude that has skills that can be developed into something. I don't know if it's like a main eventer, but like at least a high level technical menace. That's a possibility with him.
Treat it like WCW Saturday night. Every so often, throw like a legit title match on there.
Yeah,
and just let the young wrestlers try and develop. They tried to do that with Sky Blue before she broke her ankle.
Yeah.
And I think that worked out pretty well. She was showing character growth, which is so important. Because her work is fine.
Mm-hmm.
She's got a good look. Everything else, but she's also, 24?
So, stupid young. Disgustingly young. Like, she has a future and everything. I don't.
This is probably the best feud in company history.
It rules. It's really fantastic.
My projection is I believe we're going to get a John Moxley, Bryan Danielson feud. I think that's going to end up being the best in company history.
Maybe, I could see that possibly happening. Dude, if Moxley turns heel on Danielson and like it's a BCC betrayal, that could be fantastic. That could really be, but we'll see. That's just me fantasy booking at this point. Next match on the heat check. Trying to steer this back. I am not doing a good job of contributing to keeping this show on track. So this, if we were planning on doing a 4-hour just talk about crap, like we'd be fine. But we got stuff to do, man. All right. our next match, Jack Perry is going to challenge Bryan Danielson for the AEW World Championship. Bryan Danielson may or may not retire if he loses. It's not really a stipulation like the Swerve match, but he keeps talking about how he's near the end of his career. So, anyways, what's your rating on this one? And well, obviously Danielson's going to win.
I'm at a 10. I cannot wait for this match.
Okay,
and
cool.
Let me tell you why I can't wait for it. This isn't about if the title's going to change hands. It's not.
No.
Jack Perry's not winning this belt. I think you could talk yourself into it, but I think you'd end up being wrong. To me, the intrigue is, will this make Jack Perry? We've seen so much growth from him over the past year when he came back from that quasi suspension he got after All In and the scapegoat, joining the Elite. He has grown so much as a character, and as an in-ring worker, he's still solid. I think he's improving there. If he really is going to be a guy in this company, you better go out and have a 4.5 to 5-star match with Bryan Danielson on Saturday night.
Definitely would hope
you
so.
have to. And to me, that's where the intrigue lies, Fred. Can he do it? Will he do it? I want to see him take the next step. This is an elevation match for Jack Perry. This isn't about Danielson. This is about Perry. And if he can take that step, hell yeah. I'm excited. I can't wait. I want to see if Perry can be that guy because this company believes it. He had that 4-way title match. That 4-way was a piss ass joke.
Bad build.
This, I want to see where we come from him going 10 minutes with Jericho in November of 2019.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Where he's at today. This is a statement potential for Jack Perry. And if he succeeds, I think it's going to be huge for him and this company. If he fails, I don't know, man. Like, Tony Khan projects get a lot of leeway.
Yeah.
But if you can't have a great match with Bryan Danielson, what the fuck are you?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And as a wrestler, yeah. I mean, the last time that happened was, when Big Bill was Big Cass and also having big personal issues, apparently.
Yeah, he was, I think, dealing with some alcohol abuse stuff because I think that's what he said, and he's clean now, and you can tell body type wise, he's in great shape. He maintains himself well.
Big Bill rules.
More
Man.
Big Bill, please. More Big Bill. This is a Big Bill podcast.
We're the Brits are right about one and exactly one thing, which is that Big Bill rules.
Where are you at here, Fred?
Well, I'm still in Kentucky, but our next match is
No, you need to tell me where your excitement level is at. You didn't.
Oh yeah, I didn't. I'm going to give this one a 9. Slight hesitation just because you know what, I'm not 1,000% sold on Jack Perry as an in-ring guy just yet, but I've long been a guy that thinks he's good, like really good.
See, I'm not sold either, but this could easily sell.
It's a big statement match for him. I think it'll be great, probably, frankly. Odds are, but there's that little chance, that maybe it'll go sideways, that maybe it just won't be a good performance for him. I don't know. That's the intrigue. But yeah, I'm at a 9 here, I think. And maybe it would be a 10 if it wasn't a match with Swerve and Hangman on it. That's the only really, which isn't fair, but, I'm an unfair person, as we know. Next match is for the TBS Championship with Camille banned from ringside. We got ourselves Hikaru Shida challenging Mercedes Moné. Where are you at, Tyler?
3. I don't care.
That's fair.
I think this could be a solid match. I also think it could be a disaster because Hikaru Shida is one of those people that can't carry, but she can deliver. And I don't, in this environment, I don't think Mercedes Moné is somebody that can carry. At least at this point. No, she hasn't.
My stock with her is at an all-time low as far as an in-ring performer because of what I thought was a pretty bad Britt Baker match. I just did not think that succeeded at any level. So
it didn't work, and I don't think it was because they didn't try. I think how they structured it just no.
And I feel like Mercedes' big issue is she's coming to AEW, and it feels like every segment she does is like a little cutout of 2018 Raw coming along with her, on AEW TV. Now her matches in New Japan have been really good, and she's had a couple good ones in AEW. The Willow Nightingale one was great. The Zeuxis match was really good. The Vakir match was really good. I liked the Sky Blue one on that Dynamite a few months ago, but there's also been some not so great ones. The Baker match, I got that right at 2 stars. That's when Britt Baker is very much not a great in-ring performer, but she can be good, and that match sure wasn't. So whoever's fault that was, however you want to dole out blame, I don't really know, but Monet was a big part of it, obviously, and so I got some trepidation. Basically, I'm a little unsure if we're going to really see another great performance from Mercedes here. Hopefully, I'd love to. I like Sheeta. I like having Sheeta around. I do kind of question. I feel like the current character direction with her is to her benefit. I think it's working well, but I do question just how much, how much she's really going to be a high level person in AEW moving forward. We talked about the Lucha Bros leaving the company allegedly, and Sheeta, she's been here 5 years. Maybe there needs to be a change of scenery. I don't know, but anyways, yeah, I'm at a 5 on this. I could, if I had to bet money on a Meltzer over under, I'd probably take an under on like a 3-star line.
Yeah, I called, and I know you guys called her Kane, which makes sense. Like Nyla Rose getting the match against Mariah May, she is like every mini boss in a Legend of Zelda dungeon.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, it's you first get into the dungeon. Oh, you got through a few rooms. Oh, now you have to beat Nyla Rose.
Yeah.
That's what she is, and I feel
I'm okay with it, frankly.
I just wish they wouldn't dust off Nyla Rose for the token title defense. I wish they would make it so it made a little more sense.
Keep her around a little more.
Yeah. Do like 3 squashes on like Rampage and Collision, and then say, "Hey, she's gonna get a title match because she's a past champion."
Or have her win like a qualifying match or something. The thing with her that will always puzzle me is that she is, if not the best, she is one of the very best wrestlers at Twitter, at social media. She is tremendously entertaining on social media, and yet she barely gets any promo time on TV, and it's just really one of the weirdest things,
Well, I will say, I think she's better on the keyboard than she is on the mic. I don't think she's a super engaging promo, but
she hasn't been given chances at that either.
What like her title run she did. I don't think she's the best on the mic, but I do think that on social media she's incredible because what she has to say is really good. I just think the presentation element and medium is much easier keyboard versus a microphone. Does that make sense?
It does. I'm going to float an idea I just had, and I haven't even really evaluated it, but maybe she would benefit from spending some time in the commentary chair, maybe on Rampage. Just give her a shot there. I'm very curious to see how she'd do with that.
Okay.
I could see her doing really well. I could also see it being a disaster just because it's not always the easiest transition, but yeah, just an idea I had. I'd be curious to see how that'd go.
Interesting. Fred, I like it.
Yeah, I think it could work. I'm not saying it's a guarantee, because there's always that X factor. It's a tough transition to announcer. Not every wrestler can nail it. Anyways, we'll move on. Our next match for the heat check is a straight up singles match between Daniel Garcia and Maxwell Jacob Friedman.
9.5.
9.5. Ooh, buddy.
I'm really excited for this because I think this is another one. You know what? I'm going to go to full 10 because the same reasons I'm excited for this. They parallel a lot with Jack Perry, where I think Daniel Garcia and Jack Perry are the future of this promotion, but they're still being featured heavily with big stars of the current crop of wrestlers. MJF is not on the same level as Bryan Danielson. He peaks at the same level, but he's not at the same level. And I think if you can have a great match here with MJF, no bullshit, just go out there and beat ass, I think it's a really intriguing spot for these two and a really intriguing spot for Daniel Garcia. I'm a fan. I really want to see this.
A lot. I have seen multiple people complain about Garcia's charisma, which is very weird to me because he cuts a good promo. It's just he's not exactly like Macho Man, like a bigger than life personality. But he cuts good promos. I think he's got good presence. I don't know. It's a weird thing. I will give this one. If I'm giving Danielson a 9, then I'm going to give this one an 8. I am a little kind of, like MJF's good, obviously. And I just, we're kind of 2 storylines in a row with Ospreay and Cole, where the creative with MJF has been rough. And I think, different levels of rough. Let's be clear. The Ospreay thing was not a disaster like the Cole stuff. But that said, I still think MJF has every tool you could want a superstar to have. So, and I think this feud has been good. I think it's been quite good. But MJF is still like so talented. But I'm going to give this one an 8. I do think it's a big opportunity for Daniel Garcia. I think it'll be a pretty damn good match. Again, pretty positive on this one.
This is not a make or break match for Garcia, but a potential make match where they've done such a good job building him up. But can you take that next step? Can you elevate? This is his real shot to do that.
It's a kind of a shoot proving ground match for him, like a real show us what you got. Next match, I don't think we can technically give this one a rating right now because they have not determined all the participants, but there is going to be a 4-way match for the AEW Continental Championship. I'm going to get into something here in a second on that, but the 3 opponents against Kazuchika Okada, who of course will be defending, will be the winners of 3 matches on tomorrow night's Collision. Brian Keith against Orange Cassidy, Mark Briscoe against Lance Archer, and Konosuke Takeshita against the Beast Mortos. So one presumes it'll be Takeshita, Mark Briscoe, and probably Orange Cassidy. I could actually see them having Brian Keith win that, but it'll probably be Orange Cassidy.
I think it'll be Lance Archer and not Mark Briscoe.
Really? Okay. Well, I wouldn't complain. We are longtime Lance Archer appreciators.
We are. My theory is that Okada will, having really not worked with Cassidy or Takeshita in a 4-way match, has worked with Archer in the past, and it'll provide like a little bit of a sense of comfort to base to just have somebody that he knows he can trust in there. That's complete speculation on my part.
That's fair. It's reasonable thinking, and Briscoe's still the Ring of Honor World Champ, right? Not that terribly matters. I do think that they'd probably be hard pressed to have, Archer beat him in that circumstance, but I don't know. Really don't. Well, okay, so let's just call it. So we're imagining it's going to be Okada against Cassidy, Takeshita, and then one of Archer and Briscoe.
I don't think we can sleep on the fact that Beast Mortos versus Takeshita That's phenomenal.
Oh no, it'll be a great match. I can't imagine them putting Mortos over because they brought him in as a fairly big deal, but he's been losing some matches, and Takeshita just feels like he's slated at a different level.
I agree. I think Takeshita's easily going to win, but man, yes, please.
So what do you think about like how that? What would your let's do a heat check, thing gimmick? Where would you be at Okada in this 4-way? And just thoughts on it.
A 6.
Yeah, that's
but
where I am too.
I think this is a springboard match to something else. I think that's why it's on here. I think that they're going to use this to propel Okada for something else that's bigger. I don't think this is a 4-way that's just on here to just have a 4-way and get guys on the show. I think this is going to lead to something within the Continental Classic or Full Gear or even Wrestle Dream. There's something bigger at the end of this for Okada.
Do you think it's something?
I just don't know what it is yet. I hope to God it's Takeshita.
Yeah, I was getting ready to say, do you think they're going to set something up with Takeshita moving forward?
I wonder if maybe that's a match for Wrestle Kingdom, because they have the 1-5 match, the Forbidden Door.
Well, Forbidden King or Wrestle Kingdom, sorry, is supposed to be like pretty much all New Japan talent, right? Or is that just something I've made up in my head?
We really don't know how the structure is going to be. We know 1-5 is going to be like a super show. I've heard some people speculate that maybe 1-4 will have like a tags with some AEW wrestlers to preview 1-5.
Okay.
Which, I mean, you could say that's good or bad. Kind of sucks for like those who are like super fans of New Japan having AEW tags to prepare for the next day. Kind of sucks for them.
You can just, I don't know. I mean, I get it, but like also at the same time, if it's just a couple prelim tags, I don't know that it's a disaster, but
we'll see. There's something bigger here.
I do have a complaint, which is that this is, the Collision Championship, or the Continental Championship is supposed to be, it's supposed to be the real wrestling title, right? That's kind of how they built it through all of the tournament last year, and subsequently with Kingston, and even this far in Okada's reign, where like you can't have interference, no one's allowed at ringside, all this stuff. And now we're doing a 4-way, which kind of feels kind of counter to all that. But, I think that's kind of sports entertainment-fication of AEW. Anyways, moving forward, a street fight with no title on the line. It is Chris Statlander against Willow Nightingale. Tyler.
I think they'll deliver, but I also think they told us who's going to win the match by taking the title out of it. And I'm a little less excited about it because I think Statlander's winning. I'm probably at a 6.5, 7. Everybody knows how big of Willow super fans we are, but I don't know, man. The way they've kind of gotten about this kind of stinks. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not huge on it.
I will say Stokely Hathaway giving Ishii a spine buster at All In was phenomenal content. I loved it.
I still haven't watched that match.
It's
a good bit.
Look, it's fine, but it's mainly the Stokely Ishii interactions that are just tremendous.
Yeah, you're not watching that one for the stars,
No. I will say most of it was Willow and Stat, which I mean it was good, but
they're good together. They're really good together. If that had, I'm going to say that I think those are two of the great successes of AEW in terms of development, both of them. So kudos to them for their improvement and growth over the past 5 years. That's been a delight to watch. Next up, I'm at a 7. I reckon it will be a good match. AEW Women's Plunder always works out really well.
Yes.
Willow is particularly good at that kind of match, and so is that basically. So I think they could I would not be shocked if I'm on here talking about giving this match 4.25 stars. Maybe even 4.5. So, not ruling it out. Okay, 2 more matches to talk about. Tyler, first up, just got put together on Wednesday, but Blackpool Combat Club of Claudio. I can't pronunciate. Say word. No good. Mouth no work. Claudio and Wheeler Yuta against the Jackson Boys, the Young Bucks. Where you at on this one?
I don't know. This is kind of a match that kind of got thrown in there last second on Dynamite.
Build sucks. The match itself really promising, I think.
I'm gonna go with 6. We'll see what kind of shtick the Bucks have and use.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go with
not
6.
I'm gonna go with an 8.
It could be really good. It could just annoy the living shit out of me. And we'll find out.
Yeah. I started the year still really hot on the Bucks, and currently I am kind of disappointed by their performances the past few months, and lack of quality matches. But I still think they can hit those high watermarks, and hopefully, this isn't a bunch of shtick. I hope they just do a straight match and try to make it as good as possible, because under those circumstances, this match could be excellent, amazing, frankly. So I'll give it an 8. And then to close out the heat check, we got ourselves a match for the AEW International Championship. Pac challenging Will Ospreay. Tyler, once more, let's give it a score.
1,000.
I'm really
versus Will Ospreay. What the fuck else do you need? This is pro wrestling, baby. I think the last singles match they had was Rev Pro, either 2018 or 2019. Was Pac? Pac was Open the Dreamgate champion, and they went to a 30-minute draw. I think that's right. Pac coming out while Ospreay's on the stage and giving him that reverse Rana.
That
was
ruled.
So great.
Ruled.
This match, if they want to, will steal the show. And Will Ospreay's going to want to. I'm really intrigued if Pac wins this. I do think there's a chance Pac wins this match.
Yeah. I think Ospreay will probably retain, but yeah, there's a possibility for sure that Pac will walk away with it.
It might feel weird that Pac takes the title from Ospreay just 2 weeks later, but they told the story. What else is there for Ospreay to do with this title? Maybe he's on to bigger and better things. And I think Pac with this title again would be great. When he first had it, he was traveling all over the world defending that sucker.
Yeah.
Go to Arena Mexico and have a match with Mystico.
Hell yeah.
Oh God. I so need it. Oh shit. Next week is the anniversary show.
Oh, for Anniversario for CMLL?
Yeah, I will be finding a stream on Twitch on that and telling my wife I'm watching Mexican wrestling. She's gonna be like, why? I'm like, because it's the anniversary show and it's supposed to be really fucking good.
Es muy bien.
Yes. How excited are you for the overall show, though, Fred? Because this,
I am pretty excited. I think it's a very good card on paper. There's a couple matches I think have underwhelming builds relative to the match quality. The only match I'm outright kind of on is Mercedes and Shida. I just feel like that's just a little weak. And I'm not wild about the 4-way gimmick for Okada. But otherwise, like, if you were to print this out and hand me, just be like, in 3 months, you will see a match or a pay-per-view with these matches on it, I'd look at it and be like, this is the best tasting menu you could possibly give me, more or less. I mean, it's really good on paper. Now, I will say that All In was really good on paper. And, I mean, it turned out to be a really good show. Don't get me wrong. But it was not one of those AEW all-time pay-per-views, not one of those shows that they did where I think you can realistically say that it's one of the best pay-per-views of all time. So I thought it was a little disappointing in that sense. this one, you know, it's really strong on paper. And I mean, even the ones that I'm down on, the 4-way could be quite good, really good, honestly. If, you know, the workers we suspect will be in it are all tremendous. And the women's match, the Monet Sheeta match, I mean, Sheeta's had 4-star level matches before. Monet definitely has and has this year. It could happen. They could put it together really well. So yeah, there's a chance that this is like one of those 10 out of 10 shows that's super high level.
Yeah. We'll find out. I'm very intrigued to see what this ends up bringing. I hate the way everything is scheduled right now with AEW, but I think
Yeah,
there's
they got to figure this out.
Yeah, this sucks.
The pay-per-view, the 2 weeks later pay-per-view, was really
like,
kind of
okay. I get it, but I also hate it.
Yeah.
Because the reason why they have that match or All In that day is because that Monday's a bank holiday in England. And the reason why they had it for so long on Labor Day weekend is because it's a bank holiday on Monday in America. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
This kind of sucks.
Yeah. They just need to accept that, you know, All In and All Out can't be 2 weeks apart from each other and have really good build on both shows. It's tough, you know.
Yeah. Well, that's the show. That is the heat check.
That is wrestling. Real quick mention. It is a news story. I'm not going to do. I can't do legal analysis because I'm not a lawyer. But Kevin Kelly and the Tate twins are suing AEW over.
I really didn't want to talk about that because honestly, it feels like a hey. I think Tony Khan will give us a couple $1 million just to go away. Grab.
And, you know, frankly, he probably will. It's noteworthy though, so we should talk about it real quick. I think the key thing here is it's not just about their terminations, but they also bring up the independent contractor aspect of the contracts as well as the arbitration thing. They're required that you can't sue them, that you are supposed to go through arbitration with them. They're obviously disputing that clause as part of the suit. I will say that I think even with, frankly, the turn to the right wing that the Supreme Court has taken over the past decade, and not to get too political here, but this is just kind of this is my attempt at an even-handed analysis.
It's not really political. It's just the way that their decisions are going.
Yeah, they have changed that way. That is how it has shifted. No value judgments. That's just a statement of fact. I think it is increasingly unlikely that the independent contractor thing, if it for both WWE and AEW, went before the Supreme Court, I think it's increasingly unlikely that the ruling would be beneficial to the workers, that they would not be found to be employees, as I think they probably should be per U.S. law. That said, how did the NCAA do in its attempts to basically not pay college, athletes? Not particularly well, Tyler. In fact, it was so bad that every justice from across the political spectrum told them, no, this is really dumb. You need to figure something out that involves them getting paid. So, there is some hope. Now, that said, I briefly looked through the legal filing, and the only thing I really want to say at this point, other than I'm not a lawyer and I'm not a legal expert, I just like to read about legal stuff sometimes, is that I'm not particularly impressed by a lawsuit that contains pretty key errors, such as misspelling Tony Khan's name the third time you reference him. I think it was the third time. And also referring to Discord as being owned by X, which is just factually incorrect.
Or how about only 30 shows in Pennsylvania from
Ring of Honor
2002 to 2023
when
they were over 300.
Yeah, it feels very sloppily put together, but that maybe they can amend it and it'll be fine. Maybe it won't really matter. I just don't know that this is the case that is going to overturn the independent contractor thing. But we'll see. It's there are some things in there that I actually agree with. It's like the old Onion meme. The worst person you know makes a good point, right? So, anyways, just something to keep an eye on. It is noteworthy, and that is our show. I felt like we had to mention that before we tied it all up here. So, hope you all enjoyed it. Thanks for listening. Tyler, plug your stuff.
A2ZSports.com. I cover the Minnesota Vikings, college football, and the NFL draft for them. Up and coming media company that is honestly, I think we do things better than most people out there. Yeah, we have to do some of the aggregation stuff and just like talking about news that's happened, but we do focus a lot on genuine analysis and taking unique angles. So I highly recommend you check that out. My Vikings work, Vikings First and Skol, YouTube channel and podcast feed. We're all just past 4,200 subscribers on YouTube. Our growth has slowed significantly over the last couple months. It's kind of sucked, but I think a lot of that has to do with the election, just because more people are paying attention to that than ever before, because for a lot of people, they're viewing it as the most important election of their lives. And, well, that happens. Sports comes second when that comes around. So, yeah. And lastly, I've done a bunch of stuff on the Voice of Wrestling Patreon. Highly recommend you subscribe. Even if you're not listening to me, Joe and Rich do a phenomenal job with that product. And yeah. Thank you very much.
Red Circle, you can give us money. It should be in the podcast description, or it isn't. I don't know.
Fred, you write the podcast description.
I know. I do. That doesn't change anything I just said. In conclusion, Florida State sucks. Hope y'all have a great week. We'll be back next week to talk about the Pape. Hope y'all enjoy. Take care.
Hello, Voices of Wrestling listener. Dave Ryan here. Have you ever wondered to yourself how many hidden gems are hidden away inside the last years of World Championship Wrestling? Have you ever asked yourself how many tenuous gags can be made about the name Mike Enos? And have you ever thought about what it sounds like for two Irishmen to interpret a very chaotic company through its B show? The answers to all this and more are just a click away. Check out Days of Thunder every second Thursday on the Voices of Wrestling podcast network.